What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little bit of commentary on Bungie's latest update that they're doing to get ready for the April drop of their new patch. And what I actually wanted to talk about today is not the update itself, but something we saw in the update with regards to the Sterling Treasure boxes that are going to now be sold for silver at the Eververse Trading Company. There's a big debate going on right now. I've got this picture up on the screen. I want you guys to take a look at it. Pause it if you have to. It's going to come into play here later on. It's a post from Paul Tassi on Twitter where he was talking about how crappy mobile games are going to wind up killing gaming in general, and shows the average that players spend on these games. I'm going to get into that a little bit and talk about that. It's going to relate a little bit to my commentary, so I just wanted to kind of show that off to you guys so you could take a look at that as we get into the video. But what I wanted to talk about mainly is this whole pay-to-win debate that's coming into Destiny. Now, first off, I want to come out and say that what Bungie's basically doing right now, it's not pay-to-win. I know a lot of people are going to be mad when I say that, but it's not pay to win. Not yet anyways, but what Bungie is doing is getting very close to pay to win. This is more of kind of a pay to speed up your progress, pay to get loot type of thing. This is in Warframe a little bit, and that's another game I play where there's a similar argument that always goes on, but for right now, it's really not pay to win. I know you can get perks on the armor you can purchase from the store, but at the same time, you still have to infuse that armor to get it up to a usable level. It's going to come at light level 3, which is completely useless in the general game, and the perks are going to be completely random, so you're not going to be able to get a guaranteed perk set unless you just buy a whole bunch of those boxes and try to get that until you roll like the perfect armor set. So on that hand, it's really not pay to win. It's, like I said, just kind of pay to speed up your progress, and like I said, you see this in Warframe a little bit. Warframe, you can pretty much buy Warframes, you can buy weapons in the game, you can buy boosters and things. So it's not something that hasn't been done before. The thing is, though, with Warframe is a free-to-play game where the developers are constantly putting new content and tons of new content into the game. There's a lot of stuff to play, there's a lot of stuff to do. The difference is with Bungie, you're actually playing a console game, which you've already spent, if you're still sticking it out through the Taken King, you've probably spent well over $100 on this game already. There's going to be more DLC coming. So that's why it's sort of a gray area with a console game. You don't like seeing microtransactions like this with a console game because these developers are already making money hand over fist off of DLC and the initial game sales. And it's really kind of shady when they start doing stuff like this. But like I said, it's not really pay to win. But at the same time, this is kind of showing the general direction Bungie and Activision are going to go with Destiny in the future. And that's one of the reasons I put that graphic up at the beginning of the game, that post that Paul Tassi had up there. If you look at that, it's actually pretty ridiculous. This chart he put up there is an average of what players spend on mobile games, which basically are those little games you get on your cell phone. You see all the 12-year-olds playing them, all the kids in school or on the way home from the bus stop, got buried in their cell phone playing these games. And Game of War Fire Age was the top one on there. People spend an average of $550 a year on that game. And think of that for a minute, $550. You could basically buy a brand new PlayStation 4, a new computer. There's a lot of stuff you could get for that. You could buy probably 10 or 11 games right now for that much. So that's pretty crazy. That's on one game that they play. And, these games are just these kind of mindless grind fest. They have paywalls and things, and that's why people usually spend the money on them. You look on this list, there's a game called Family Guy, The Quest for Stuff. And people spend an average of about $84 on that a year. That's ridiculous. Kim Kardashian Hollywood, $80 a year. It's crazy. Clash of Clans is one of the other ones. That's $112 a year. But some of the bigger games, people spend well up in upwards of $200. And that's an average, means some people spend less, some people spend a lot more. But that shows the kind of direction gaming in general is going. And Activision actually, if you listen to any of their investor calls they do with their stockholders every quarter, they have mentioned in the past they are a little bit envious of the mobile gaming market and how that's going. And there's been several articles written by many financial journals and things saying that mobile gaming is the eventual future of gaming in general, that eventually it's trending to pass by consoles in terms of the amount of sales they get every year. So it's a rather interesting thing that you can educate yourself on and sort of read about. But Activision is definitely aware of this trend, and they definitely are starting to tailor Destiny to achieve similar results. And the one thing they've realized at this point is, despite how much they've ticked off the community with Destiny, they have a loyal legion of diehards who think Bungie can do no wrong, who will continue to support this game no matter what, and that number of players is apparently high enough to where Bungie thinks they can get away with something like this. So what they're going to basically be doing here is, as they explain the way the Sterling Treasure Box works, it's going to have the different armor sets you can get. It's going to have the different items. And people apparently love these cosmetic items in these games, and in Destiny especially. So what they're basically going to do is make it so that you want to buy more of these. So they're putting this gear in there now. They're letting you get armor drops because they want to entice you. You're going to get a couple of different free boxes you can get every week. There's a lot of players who are very impatient. And they want it now. There's people on day one who are probably going to have entire armor sets of the new Taken armor set because they're going to probably spend $50 to $100 on these boxes until they can get that full armor set and the new ships and things. And that really is kind of a crappy thing to do, especially in a console game. Like I said, you've already spent well over $100 on Destiny if you are sticking out through the Taken King. But I think this is sadly going to be the future of this game, and it's going to be the future of AAA titles in general. It's just kind of sucks, honestly, to see the way things are going. And like I said, Activision, they're aware of how well these mobile games do financially, and they really want to get a piece of that. And unfortunately for them, with Destiny, as you see with a lot of the community in Destiny, they've already got this player base there ready to go. These kids now are getting these mobile games. Parents are using these cell phones, as a distraction. You're in the car at a restaurant. You see it all the time if you're out there in the real world. And these kids get hooked on these mobile games because they have a very addictive play style. They do studies on this. They do scientific studies on how addictive these games can be. Destiny especially. The loot drop. It's almost like a gambling addiction. You want to see what you're going to get next. You want to continue to play. Even if you're not having a good time in the game, you want to see what that next loot drop's going to be. It's like someone who's addicted to gambling. They keep losing and losing, but they think, that next roll, I'm going to hit the jackpot. And so that's like people with Destiny. They keep playing and playing and playing. Oh, I'm going to get that legendary. I'm going to get that Yallarhorn. I'm going to get that drop that I really want that I've been playing for hours and haven't gotten. It's going to come next time. And a lot of the people still playing Destiny are of this mindset, and a lot of people who play these mobile games are of this mindset. So they're trying to prey on that type of player, and they've already got the audience they need because these kids are already kind of conditioned on playing these games as they're growing up on these cell phones. So when they get eventually to the age where they want to play the console game, well, they've got a game like Destiny that's right there, and there's other games, that do the same thing, but it's pretty easy to see where this is going, and I will not be surprised if Bungie and Activision continue to rely on microtransactions to actually go through and continue with Destiny. And the problem is, too, like I said, other games, Warframe is one I use as an example because I play that quite a bit. The microtransactions are actually used to somewhat improve the game because the developers put out a lot of content with Warframe. There's constant updates to it. They put a lot of content in the updates, new Warframes, new weapons. There's things that they do all the time. They do things for the community all the time. But with a game, with a company like Bungie and Activision, they're really not going to reinvest that money into the game. That's going to go into the pockets of the developer and the publisher. And you can kind of see that by this free update they're doing in April. I mean, a lot of this stuff, first off, as I'm going to talk about in my video I'm going to do about the update, about 90% of it's reskin gear. It's stuff that was in year one that they said was never going to come back, and now it's being reskinned, and players are going, ape shit over it, thinking it's the coolest thing ever. But they're just doing reskins and reskins. Even the new strike's going to be in a same old area they've used before. They're adding a little bit of new gear, but then they've got these cosmetic items they're putting in the chroma, and you can change your armor colors and all this other stuff. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I have to admit some of that stuff is kind of neat, but then the part of my mind kicked in and said, hey, this is pretty standard fare for most games when they launch. And that's the problem with Destiny in general, is it's now they're putting all these features in the game now that should have been there when this game released as a $60 title. I'm going to laugh if they come out and do private matches when they talk about the new Crucible updates they're doing. Because, this is a first-person shooter. It's been out for almost 2 years, no private matches. That's ridiculous at this point. But Bungie adds in these features that come with most games at launch, and they think they should be given a pat on the back, and it's kind of funny. So that's what they said. These microtransactions were going to fund their live team, that they were going to put out, free content updates and things through that. Activision, of course, quickly came out and said, oh, no, we're going to do paid DLC in addition, maybe some free updates here and there. And as you're seeing with this free update, which, it's hard to complain because it's free. I've said that many times, but at the same time, it's so lazy what they're doing in terms of just reskinning stuff, adding in just simple-minded basic concepts and basic things cosmetically that should have been in the game a very long time ago. But like I said, sadly, I think this is the direction you're going to see with Destiny in the future. It may eventually turn into a pay-to-win game where you can purchase items and armor and weapons and things that give you an advantage, maybe in PvP or something. But as of right now, it's not there. But it's definitely moving in that direction, and I would not be surprised if it goes that way. As Destiny 2 gets closer, or even with Destiny 2 when it comes out, would not be a shock at all because, like I said, Activision's trying to capture a little bit of that mobile gaming market, and they really want to bring those people into Destiny and run a similar type of system. So it's kind of unfortunate, but I think that's the direction the game is eventually going to head in. And I just wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on that and kind of jump into the debate a little bit. And like I said, while it's not pay to win now, definitely would not be surprised if it goes that way in the future. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are about Destiny right now and the new update coming. What you think about them selling armor and gear now in these packages that you can buy. It's pretty interesting to kind of watch the way this game is being developed. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a great weekend. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.